Did you ever, like, seriously imagine we'd return to Pandora with such a huge splash? And, what did James Cameron actually cook up after more than a decade? It really felt like he was pushing everything.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just a return, was it? It felt more like a deliberate deepening, really getting into the nitty-gritty of a world we only thought we knew.
Right.
The big question wasn't just if people would go back,
Right.
but how Cameron could possibly top what he did the first time. Those expectations were sky high.
He always bets on the tech, doesn't he?
Always. And this deep dive really shows how much that bet paid off this time around. It was massive.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we dig into your insights, your sources, like the amazing stuff you sent over on Avatar, The Way of Water, and we really try to unpack the most interesting bits.
Yeah.
Our mission today: explore this huge cinematic comeback to Pandora. We're talking the tech, the story changes, the massive box office numbers, and of course, how it sets up what's next for Avatar.
And to do that, we've got a great mix of sources. We've looked at, trailer snippets that hinted at what was coming, comprehensive databases like IMDb, TMDb for the basic facts and figures, really important stuff.
Foundations.
Exactly. Plus, deep dive articles on the production itself, the tech challenges, the artistic goals, and then rounding it out, lots of critical reviews and audience reactions to get the full picture.
Yeah, that gives us a really solid base to properly dissect what made The Way of Water such a big deal, a real cinematic event.
Totally.
So what we'll dive into, first off, those absolutely mind-blowing visual effects, especially the underwater scenes. Just wow.
Unprecedented, really.
Then the big shift in the Sully family story. It moves from Jake's journey to this whole family survival thing.
A very different focus.
We'll hit the unbelievable box office numbers too. Hard to ignore those.
Definitely not.
And finally, how all that success and tech basically paved the way for the sequels we know are coming. So yeah, let's dive into this ocean epic.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Avatar in 2009, gigantic success, changed filmmaking. And then silence. Well, not silence, but delays. A massive 13-year gap before The Way of Water in December 2022.
13 years.
In movie terms, that's an eternity, right? Franchises rise and fall in way less time. What was the feeling out there during that did the anticipation hold up, or did people start to, forget?
Yeah, the anticipation was definitely there, but it was mixed, wasn't it? There was a lot of skepticism, too. Maybe even some fatigue.
Fatigue, yeah.
13 years is long enough for a whole new generation of moviegoers to come up with totally different tastes. People heard Avatar sequels are coming for so long.
Right, it became a running joke almost.
Kinda, yeah. And the constant delays, even if you understood the technical reasons, made people wonder, has the magic faded? Is Pandora still relevant?
It really begs that question. Does a super long wait automatically build hype, or does it risk people just moving on?
It feels like it could easily go the other way, lose momentum completely.
For a lot of franchises, it probably would. But then you look at Cameron's track record, it's unusual. Aliens was 7 years after Alien, Terminator 2 also 7 years after the first one.
And both were huge, arguably better than the originals for many people.
Exactly. Critical hits, massive box office. And Cameron himself pointed to those examples, saying he wasn't worried about the Avatar 2 gap. It's like he has this knack for making the wait work for him.
He does.
Yeah.
Almost like he uses the time, doesn't just wait it out. He develops the tech he needs. He lets the tools catch up to his vision.
Which brings us squarely to The Way of Water, because the big thing, the absolute game changer everyone talked about, was the underwater performance capture.
That was the headline, yeah.
Yeah.
Something genuinely never done before at this scale, with this level of detail. It was the core reason for the long development time tackling that specific problem.
So how did they actually pull it off? Lightstorm Entertainment, his effects company. Because technically, it sounds like a complete nightmare. Water, light, sensors.
Oh, it was a nightmare. The challenges were huge. First off, water itself just soaks up infrared light.
Which is what the usual motion capture markers rely on.
Exactly. So those little reflective dots on the actors' suits, they'd basically disappear or get totally distorted underwater.
Yeah.
Nightmare number one.
Okay.
Then you have the surface of the water itself acting like a moving mirror. It creates thousands of false reflections, these sort of ghost markers.
Ah, confusing the cameras.
Totally. The sensors just get overwhelmed with bad data. It was, like you said, a massive visual effects problem.
So the solution, how did they get clean data?
It was pretty ingenious, actually, multi-layered. They developed a whole new system using UV light instead of infrared for the underwater stuff.
UV light behaves differently in water.
Yeah, it scatters in a way they could track more reliably. But the really key part was using two completely separate motion capture systems, running at the same time but perfectly synced.
Two systems.
One just for underwater, using the UV setup, and another one above the surface for anything happening in the air or transitioning between the two.
Ah, so they could capture someone jumping into the water seamlessly.
Precisely. Or complex scenes with action happening both above and below simultaneously. It let them get clean, high-fidelity data across both environments. A massive engineering cast.
And then there's the actor side of it. No scuba gear, right?
Hey,
Because the bubbles would mess everything up.
exactly. Which meant the cast had to learn serious freediving techniques, holding their breath for incredibly long periods.
Well, acting, not just holding their breath.
Right, delivering emotional performances, complex movements, all underwater on a single breath. The dedication was insane. Kate Winslet famously trained and held her breath for over 7 minutes for one scene.
7 minutes. That's unbelievable.
It set a record for an underwater film scene. But it wasn't just her. Even the kids in the cast.
Just silly children.
Yeah, they went through 6 months of training to hold their breath for like 2 to 4 minutes. Comfortably.
Yeah.
While performing. It just shows the level of commitment Cameron expects, pushing everyone.
Wow. Okay, so beyond the water, there was another big technical choice. High frame rate, HFR. Using 48 frames per second instead of the standard 24 for a lot of scenes.
Right, double the standard. Particularly for the fast action sequences.
What was the goal there? What was he trying to achieve with that?
The main idea was clarity. To eliminate the motion blur you get at 24 fps during fast movement, make the action feel sharper, more immediate, almost hyper-real.
A heightened sense of reality, I think was the term used.
Exactly. He wanted to immerse the viewer even more deeply in Pandora, especially during those intense chases or the fluid underwater fights. Make you feel like you were really there.
But it was controversial, wasn't it? That soap opera effect criticism came up a lot. It looked too smooth, too real in a way that felt unnatural for movies.
That was definitely the pushback from some viewers and critics. For decades, we've been conditioned to associate 24 fps with its inherent motion blur as this cinematic look.
Right. It feels like film.
Exactly. And HFR, by removing that blur and increasing the smoothness, can make the image look more like, well, live TV or video, which can paradoxically break the cinematic illusion for some people.
So how did they deal with that? Did they just go all in on 48 fps?
No. And this is where it gets interesting again. Lightstorm actually developed special software called TrueCut Motion. It's essentially motion grading software.
Motion grading, like color grading.
Kind of, yeah. It allowed them to very precisely control the motion rendering and, crucially, blend different frame rates within the same film. They could use 24 fps for dialogue scenes, make them feel traditionally cinematic.
And then seamlessly ramp up to 48 fps for the action.
Exactly. Shot even within a shot sometimes. It gave them fine control to use HFR where it helped clarity, but dial it back to avoid that soap opera feel during quieter moments.
So constantly adjusting to get the best of both worlds. That's typical Cameron, isn't it? Not just using tech, but refining it constantly.
Absolutely. Unwavering commitment to the visual experience, even if it means inventing new tools along the way.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit from the tech, incredible as it is, to the story. Because The Way of Water felt like a very different narrative focus compared to the first film.
Definitely. The first Avatar was really Jake Sully's personal journey, right? The outsider finding his place.
Yeah, his transformation.
But this film, The Way of Water, pivots hard towards family. It's about Jake and Neytiri as parents, about their kids, about protecting that unit above all else.
Can you walk us through who makes up the Sully family now? It's bigger than just Jake and Neytiri.
It is. The film jumps forward, 16 years? Jake is now chief of the Metkayina, fully Na'vi, and a dad. You've got him and Neytiri, obviously.
Still fierce.
Oh, yeah. Then their biological kids. Nadiam, the responsible older son. Loak, the more rebellious middle child who struggles a bit. And Tuktiri, Tuk, the youngest daughter.
And 2 adopted children, too, right? That adds complexity.
Huge complexity. There's Kiri, who's basically the daughter of Dr. Grace Augustin's Avatar.
Played by Sigourney Weaver again, through motion capture, which is fascinating in itself.
Totally. And Kiri has this mysterious, deep connection to Pandora, to Awa, and then there's Spider.
The human kid, Colonel Quaritch's son, left behind on Pandora.
Exactly. Miles, Spider Socorro, adopted by the Sullys, raised alongside the Na'vi kids, but still human. This whole family unit, their survival, their bond, that's the absolute core of the film now.
And it really forces Jake to change, doesn't it? He's not that same reckless Marine anymore.
Not at all. Being a father completely reshapes him. His primary instinct shifts from fighting to protecting. He's constantly weighing risks, not just for himself, but for his kids.
How does that play out, that internal conflict for him, the warrior versus the protector?
It's a major theme. You see him struggle. He wants to fight the RDA, defend his home, but his overriding thought is, I need to keep my kids safe. He even talks about the hypocrisy of telling his teenage sons, who are itching to fight, to stay out of it while he feels the call to battle himself.
That adds a layer of vulnerability, maybe. Makes him more relatable.
Absolutely. It grounds him. He's not just a superhero. He's a parent facing impossible choices, trying to balance his duty to his people with his fierce love for his family. It's a really strong character arc.
And speaking of impossible choices, the villain, Courage, we all thought he was gone.
Definitely seemed that way.
But he comes back, and not just as himself, he's a recombinant. What exactly does that mean?
It's a pretty chilling concept. A recombinant is a Na'vi avatar body, custom grown.
What?
It's implanted with the memories and personality of a dead human soldier. In this case, Courage.
So it is him, his mind, his hatred for Jake, everything, just in a big blue body.
Exactly. All his tactical skill, his ruthlessness, now combined with the strength and agility of a Na'vi. It makes him insanely dangerous.
And it makes the fight intensely personal, right? He's not just fighting the Na'vi, he's hunting Jake specifically.
Single-mindedly. It's pure revenge. And he knows Jake's weakness is his family, so he targets the kids too, which is brutal.
And then there's the Spider connection, his own son, raised by his enemy.
That adds such a messy, fascinating layer. Spider's torn. He loves his adopted Na'vi family, but Quaritch is his biological father. And Quaritch tries to exploit that, tries to win Spider over, learn Na'vi ways from him. It's manipulative and complex.
It gives the villain motivation beyond just, being evil. It's really smart writing.
Definitely adds depth.
So because of Quaritch's return and this relentless pursuit, the Sullys have to leave their forest home. They flee.
Yeah, an agonizing choice. They leave the Metkayina, everything they know, and seek refuge far away with the Metkayina clan, the reef people.
Which opens up this whole new world for the audience, Pandora's oceans.
And this is where Cameron just unleashes the visuals. The detail is staggering. Vibrant coral reefs, bioluminescent creatures, the sheer scale of the ocean. It's breathtaking.
It really expands the world of Pandora enormously. It's not just forests anymore.
Exactly. It shows the planet's diversity, different environments, different ways of life, different challenges. The ocean setting requires totally new skills, new ways of thinking. It really enriches the world building.
Tell us about the Metkayina. What's their culture like? How are they different?
They're fundamentally tied to the water. Their bodies are even slightly different. Broader tails for swimming, stronger arms. Their whole way of life revolves around the ocean and its creatures.
Led by Tonawari.
Chief Tonawari, yeah, played by Cliff Curtis. And his wife, Ronald, played by Kate Winslet, who's the psychic, the spiritual leader. They're initially wary of the Sullys.
Because the Sullys are forest people. They don't fit in.
Exactly. They struggle with the swimming, the breath holding, understanding the reef culture. It creates tension, themes of being refugees, needing to adapt, finding acceptance in a place that's not your home. It's tough for them.
And within this new setting, we get these really powerful new character connections, especially involving Kiri and Loak.
Absolutely. They become central to the film's emotional core. Kiri. Her connection to Awa, to Pandora, is amplified by the ocean.
Sigourney Weaver playing this teenage Na'vi. It's remarkable.
It really is. And Kiri has these moments of just pure wonder, connecting with sea creatures, almost seeming to control them. It hints at something special, something deeply spiritual about her link to the planet.
More than just being Grace's daughter somehow.
Yeah, there's a mystery there. She even has a vision of Grace when she connects to the underwater spirit tree.
Yeah.
But it's almost too much for her sometimes, causing seizures. It's a powerful but dangerous gift.
It really dives into that spiritual side of Avatar.
Deeply. And then you have Loak.
The rebellious son.
Yeah, always feeling like he's in his older brother Netyam's shadow, making mistakes, feeling like an outcast. And he finds this incredible bond with Payakan.
The Tulkun, the giant, intelligent, whale-like creature who's also an outcast.
Exactly. The Tulkun are pacifists, deeply spiritual. But Payakan attacked the whalers who killed his mother, broke their sacred law, and was banished.
So Loak, the outcast kid, connects with the outcast whale.
It's the heart of the film for many people. This bond between two beings who don't quite fit in, who understand each other's pain and defiance. It raises really interesting questions about judging others, challenging rules, finding empathy.
Yeah, that relationship felt incredibly resonant. It really anchored the emotion.
It did. It gave Loak's journey real weight.
But like a lot of epic stories, there's tragedy too, a moment that really changes everything for the family.
Yeah, Neytiri's death. It's brutal and heartbreaking.
The responsible older son.
He dies protecting his siblings during that final confrontation.
Yeah.
And the grief Jake and Neytiri share. It's raw, powerful. It really galvanizes them.
It cements that theme of family, sacrifice the cost of this conflict.
Absolutely. It pushes Jake especially to a darker place, a more absolute commitment to protecting who's left, no matter the cost. It's a huge turning point.
Okay, so we've covered the incredible tech, the family story arc. Let's talk about the money. Because The Way of Water's box office performance was just astronomical. It defied all the odds, didn't it?
Completely. Considering that 13-year gap, the colossal budget, we're talking $350 to $460 million, maybe even more.
Wow.
And the fact that theaters were still recovering from the pandemic, nobody was quite sure how it would land.
And how did it land?
Like a meteor, it grossed over $2.32 billion worldwide.
$2.3 billion.
Yep. Highest grossing film of 2022 by far. Highest grossing film of the whole pandemic era. And the third highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah.
Ever.
Only behind the first Avatar and Avengers.
Okay.
Endgame. That's just insane company.
It really is. It silenced a lot of the doubters who thought the franchise had lost its pull.
What drove that? Were there specific milestones? How did it keep making money for so long?
Well, it hit $1 billion incredibly fast, just 14 days, sixth fastest ever.
Okay.
And it was the first pandemic-era movie to cross $2 billion, which took about 40 days. But the key was its staying power.
It had legs, as they say.
Huge legs.
Yeah.
It held the #1 spot at the U.S. box office for 7 weekends straight.
7. That's almost unheard of these days.
Pretty much only the first Avatar did that recently. It was driven by really strong audience scores, an A-Cinema score, super high positive ratings from post-track. People loved it.
Word of mouth was huge then.
Massive, and lots of repeat viewings. People went back to see it again, often in IMAX 3D or other premium formats, which cost more.
Yeah.
It became an event movie you had to experience in the theater.
Which brings us to the critics versus the audience, because critics, almost to a person, praised the visuals.
Universally. Dazzling, gorgeous, spectacular, immersive. They ran out of superlatives. The consensus was clear. See this on the biggest screen possible, in 3D if you can. It's a technical masterpiece.
Owen Gleiberman at Variety, Justin Chang at the LA Times. They called Cameron a true visionary, recognized the achievement.
Yeah, even critics who had issues elsewhere admitted the visuals were groundbreaking. It won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, deservedly so. Yeah. It was a showcase for what cinema technology could do.
But the story, that...
Definitely. While audiences clearly embraced it, many critics found the narrative lacking compared to the visuals.
What were the main complaints?
Things like repetitive plot, feeling maybe too similar to the first film's structure. Some felt the character development, especially for some of the new kids, was a bit thin.
Okay.
Pacing issues were mentioned a lot, tied to the long runtime, 3 hours and 12 minutes.
That's a long sit.
It is. Critics like Anthony Lane said parts of it felt like dawdling. Some found the story predictable, maybe emotionally shallower than they'd hoped, despite the family focus.
So a real disconnect there. Critics focusing on script and structure, audiences seemingly swept away by the spectacle.
It really highlights that divergence, doesn't it? What different people prioritize in a movie. For the vast majority of paying customers, the immersive world, the sheer beauty, the action that was more than enough. Any story issues were secondary.
He delivered that cinematic experience.
In spades. It was an experience you couldn't replicate at home.
We should also touch on the perspective of some indigenous critics, given the film's themes.
Yes, that's important. While the film clearly positions the Na'vi struggle against the RDA as an allegory for colonialism and environmental destruction.
Which is a strong message.
Some indigenous commentators felt the way the story was told was perhaps a bit conventional or predictable. Drew Hayden Taylor, for instance, felt the storyline was foreseeable.
So the message was clear, but the narrative execution felt familiar to some who live closer to those themes.
Potentially, yeah. It suggests that while the intent was good, maybe the nuance or originality in conveying that struggle wasn't as sharp as it could have been for everyone. Though, the depiction of the Tulkun hunting, that was incredibly brutal and widely seen as a powerful metaphor for exploitation.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. Okay, so With that massive box office success, the future of the franchise seems secure, right? Cameron basically said the sequels depended on this one making money.
He was very open about it. Said if Avatar 2 and 3 didn't make enough, Soarin' 5 just wouldn't happen.
But they did make enough. Way more than enough.
So now he's kind of locked in, as he put it. He has to make them. Which raises that interesting point about Hollywood. How commercial success really dictates artistic continuation.
In this case, the money directly fuels the vision. It lets him finish the saga.
Exactly. It's a rare case where the gamble paid off so spectacularly that it guarantees the rest of the story gets told over the next, decade maybe?
And we know Avatar 3 is Fire and Ash, coming December 2025, and it sounds like a shift away from the water.
Yeah, the details suggest that. Way of Water was apparently about 60% water-based scenes. Fire and Ash is planned to be only around 30%.
So less ocean, more fire, volcanoes, other parts of Pandora.
That seems to be the implication. Exploring different biomes, maybe introducing new Na'vi clans adapted to harsher volcanic environments. It fits Cameron's pattern of constantly expanding the world.
And he filmed a lot of 3 and even some of 4 alongside 2, didn't he?
He did. Talk about ambitious planning. Filming parts of multiple sequels simultaneously to maximize efficiency. It shows his long-term commitment.
Beyond the movie itself, Disney's marketing push was huge. It had to be, after 13 years.
Absolutely massive. Not just ads, but everything. Merchandising, theme park stuff at Disney World.
Pandora Land there.
Right. And huge global tie-ins. That Mercedes-Benz concept car, the Vision AVTR.
That was wild.
Amazon Echo integrations, makeup lines with NYX, Kellogg's cereal, Razer gaming gear. They made sure Avatar was everywhere, reminding people of the brand and the spectacle.
Reigniting that cultural awareness.
Precisely. Making it feel current again.
And they tied it into real-world causes, too, didn't they? The environmental message wasn't just in the film.
No, they launched the Keep Our Oceans Amazing campaign, partnered with the Nature Conservancy to support marine conservation globally.
So connecting Pandora's plight to Earth's oceans.
Yeah, leveraging the Therm's themes for real-world impact. It adds another dimension, using that huge blockbuster platform to raise awareness and maybe even funds for conservation. It makes you think about the potential for these huge films to do more than just entertain.
So looking back at the whole phenomenon, The Way of Water really cemented its place, didn't it? As a technical benchmark, especially for CGI and underwater filming.
Without a doubt. It's another landmark in Cameron's career of pushing boundaries. The Abyss, Titanic, the first Avatar. He consistently forces the technology forward to serve his vision. Winning the VFX Oscar just confirmed its status as a major achievement.
It sets a new bar.
Definitely.
So after digging through all of this, the big question for you, listening, is probably, did the spectacle make up for the story? Do you think that incredible visual achievement, that immersion, outweighs any criticisms about the plot or the pacing?
Or does it really highlight that ongoing debate? What's more important in blockbusters today? Groundbreaking tech and world building, or classic narrative depth and character arcs?
It's the Cameron conundrum, isn't it? He always makes us ask that.
He really does. Is believing in the world being transported there enough?
So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. In our world, with so much information flying around, so much content, is a film's power to just take you somewhere else, somewhere believable and beautiful and fully realized? Is that the real way of water for movies going forward? Is that immersive escape the key, maybe even more than the story itself?
Definitely something to chew on until our next deep dive.